Alright, this is video 3 on the subject of demystifying modes, but if you haven't watched the other 2, you're going to be wondering by just watching this one, how is he demystifying anything? Because this one I'm going to get into the stuff that gives you headaches. The first 2 videos are where I demystify stuff more. I talk about how, show you a very simple, straightforward way to learn modes without getting into all the baggage stuff that I'm going to explain in this video. And then on video 2 I talk to you about how to use modes, and I show you 3 ways to do that with modal chord progressions, ambiguous chord progressions, and bringing in stuff from the outside. On this, I want to talk about some things that if you studied the subject of modes and you've watched those first 2 videos, you might think, why is he overlooking this stuff? So let me talk about those things and then tell you why I'm overlooking them, and then explain a concept of tonal center, which gives you some context to practicing modes and understanding them better. The way I've taught modes in this video, and this is a little bit of review from video 1, was I said you got major modes and minor modes, and like a Lydian mode, for example, is just a major scale with a sharp 4. Mixolydian is a major scale with a flat 7. Minor scale is a minor with a sharp 6. Right there is the sharp 6. Phrygian, minor with a flat 2. Right there, see? Locrian was a flat minor with a flat 2 and a flat 5. I would screw this one up. That's how I taught you the modes. But you might say, but if other places I've studied the modes are said to be like this. It's like a scale starting on a different note. For instance, we'll say C major, that's also known as C Ionian, that's the nodal name for it. If I start that same scale in the second scale degree, I'm playing the second mode, which from D, by the way. Second mode is Dorian, so D Dorian is a C major scale starting on D. And then the third mode starts on E, and it's called Phrygian, etc. Going up, fourth mode is a C major scale, starting on the fourth note, which is F, etc. That's all true. And if you want to think of your modes as a Mixolydian mode is the 5th mode of, so C Mixolydian is 5th mode, let me count back, C, B, A, G, F, it's really an F major scale. That's helpful sometimes to visualize it on the fretboard, and I'm having to do that sometimes. But ultimately, you want to think instead of the modes as being that Mixolydian is just a major scale with flat 7. Because that'll help you to emphasize that flat 7, and if you don't emphasize it, if you keep skipping over it, just playing with creativity and randomness even, if you don't intentionally hit that B flat, and nothing else in the song or chord progression is hitting that B flat, that's an important point, the listener won't hear the mode. So you might as well not be playing it, okay? You want to emphasize, whether it's in your lead work or it's in the song's chord progression, somebody needs to emphasize that one note that makes it differ from its parent major or minor scale, the derivative scale, as I say. So you need to know that note. So that's one reason that it's easier to think of Mixolydian as a major scale with a flat 7. Sometimes it's easier to visualize the Mixolydian as, okay, C Mixolydian is a 5th of F, so I'll visualize F major scale. Sometimes it's easier to visualize, and I do that still. Okay, but you're going to give yourself a headache always thinking it like that. Second thing is what you just saw me do. I was, playing C Ionian, D Dorian, E Phrygian, F Lydian, etc. That is not the sound of modes. That's the sound of a major scale starting on different notes. And that's what I want to clear up here. A mode is not simply starting a scale on a different note than the first scale degree. That's not the definition. The idea of modes is understood best when we understand the concept of tonal center. The tonal center is like the sun in a solar system. Everything revolves around it. It's like the earth in that everything rests or falls back down to it, okay? So everything revolves around it, everything resolves to it, okay? Usually that note's the first note in your scale, first scale degree. So if I'm in the key of C major, meaning all white keys is my key signature, all white keys on the piano, all naturals. I'm in the key of C major and C is the tonal center, I don't need modes. But if I'm in that key signature, no sharps and flats, and my tonal center, the note everything rests on, is a different note than the first note, I might want modes. I say might because there's one place we do this, and it's the concept of relative minor. C major and A minor are relative to each other. A minor is called the relative minor of C major. If you don't know that, Google it elsewhere. I'm not going to go into details. They're in the same key signature. So we, technically, when you learn the concept of relative minor, you are learning a mode. A minor is technically a mode of C major. When you learn to play the A minor scale and you learn about the relationship it has to being the relative minor of C major, you're learning a mode. You're learning the concept of modes. You just different jargon, different vocabulary. You're not using the modal framework. A minor is Aeolian. See, so there's C major scale. Here's A minor. In the wrong context, that just sounds like a C major scale starting on a different note. Where we think in terms of A minor is if the chord progression's got a tonal center, everything resolves on A. So the tonal center shifted to A, but we're still in the same key. Let me demonstrate. So I played C major chord progressions a lot in this video. I'll do one more. Major chord progression would be like, C, F, and G would be. I'll play an A minor in there just for fun. 1, 4, 6, 5. Here's C major. If I can play the C major starting on the A, listen to it over the next chord. Listen to everything rest right here. That's the C. So C was the tonal center. Didn't matter that I played a scale earlier on that one chord starting on A. You could call it Aeolian, A minor. It's really a C major scale starting on A because the tonal center is still C. I'm going to play now, same group of notes, all sharps, no sharps and flats is the key signature, white keys on the piano, but I'm going to make the tonal center A. And one way I'll do it, an easy way to do it, is to start on the A. So I'll start on A minor. I'll play an A minor chord progression, okay? And then I'll play a scale over it. So A minor chord progression might be C. Here's the A minor scale over it. Everything wants to resolve on the A. I bend it a little bit out of pitch. So A is the tonal center. Same key signature. The tonal center shifted. So that's relative minor, but that's also the concept in modes. So the tonal center shifts. So the point is the tonal center is the key to unlocking modes, and the tonal center is a different note than the first scale degree looking at modes. A minor is a 6th scale degree of C major, so the tonal center shifted from 1 to 6, and it's so common, I think, we call it A minor, because it's so common, but you can call it Aeolian. When that tonal center is on another note, like 2 or 3 or 4, 5, etc., we'll use the modal terminology, we'll think of it that way. So if I was to be, so that's why modes exist, but what's hard is if you practice everything only using those white keys, C major, no sharps and flats, and I practice my modes where I'm going to practice where in the key, playing C Ionian, then D Dorian, then E Phrygian, and F Lydian, like you saw me earlier going up scale. It's not going to necessarily sound like a mode, because part of the concept of tonal center is it's psychological. There's a context behind tonal center. So that's easy or it's hard to teach your mind there's a new tonal center by shifting it all the time. That's why When I do, I hear C major, but when I move it up to the F and play the same scale, starting from the F, the 4th scale degree, I still hear it wants to resolve to that note. Especially if I had a C major chord progression over it. Let me do that with the chord progression so you can really hear it, okay? So, let me do this again. I messed that up. Messed up the mode, the looper. So if I do... So I could start that on C, or start on F. See, it still wants to end there. It just doesn't sound like a mode. That's not the modal. That's not a Lydian mode, even though I'm starting on F. Because Lydian has this sound, that sound going on. Got it? So that's why. So how you want to practice modes is how I did in the first video. If you didn't watch it, just watch that, and what I'm saying now might make more sense. Don't practice your modes with shifting tonal centers. Always have the same tonal center. If you don't have a looper, guitarists, we can play an open E. You know, especially with some delay going on, and there's E major. I'll do E Lydian, E Phrygian, then I'll try the minors for a while, or Dorian and Phrygian, etc., Locrian. So keep the same tonal center. I picked C because the music theory is easier in C. But if you don't have a looper or guitarist, it's easy to drone the 6th string while you're practicing that. So that's as complex as I think modes really get. So to me, the stuff I shared in this video can give people headaches. But if you watch the first video, I greatly simplify things. And the second video tells you how to use things. So hopefully all this makes you a better musician. And I've been able to incorporate modes by seeing the chord progression is modal and using the mode, or using the cheater scales, the pentatonics, all because I know the stuff I'm sharing with you. I've been able to use these things to compose songs from modes, and to understand other people's music. Like Satriani uses a modal concept called pitch axis theory, and I can kind of see that playing along, where he's keeping the same tonal center but shifting modes. That's all he's doing. So I really use that concept here, although I didn't use it compositionally. I used it to help you practice and learn them. But this stuff is gold once you learn it, and it'll make you just a better musician all the way around. So just study it and enjoy it, and if you have any questions, please look at my website, gregjonesmusic.com. Visit it often. I got music theory content out there. Send me an email. Love to hear from you. Write yourself something in the comments. Hope this helped you. Thanks.